Mrs. Sheffield, and I wanted to talk to you and show you how to help little kids learn to cut. Now, some kids will naturally start cutting. They will just, toddlers, babies. My own daughter, she just loved grabbing scissors and figured out how to cut by herself. However, I taught kindergarten, and there were several kids that had no idea how to hold scissors because scissors are not safe, and so a lot of parents don't let their kids use scissors. Obviously, we don't want them to play with them, but they don't use them, and so they go into school not having experience. So I'm gonna give you some ideas of how to help teach your children or help teach your students how to cut with scissors. So always talk about safety. I have a funny video for that one, but basically when I talk about it with my kids, I will say, okay, we're gonna talk about the safety rules of scissors. First, we do not walk around with scissors. If we must walk around with scissors, then this is how you hold it. So always show a child how to hold scissors when they're walking. Otherwise, they will come up to you like this, and like this, and like this, and all over the place. So first things first, talk about safety before they are allowed to touch scissors, okay? Holding scissors is very important. Also talk about, we don't cut hair and we don't cut clothes. So you would think that's common sense. For children, it's not, okay? They think it's fun, super, super fun. So nip that in the bud right from the beginning. None of that in my classroom or home, okay? So scissors are only used for cutting paper or whatever I'm giving you to cut. Okay, so talk about safety. We talk about also, we don't want it hurting us. That's why we don't walk like this. We don't do this towards anyone else because it could hurt them. Even if we're joking, it's not a joke because you could accidentally cut someone. So we want to avoid all of that. So definitely go over safety rules with scissors before you let kids touch scissors. After that, make sure that you ask them. Ask them questions. Do we walk with scissors? Show me how we hold our scissors. Very good. Do we ever point this in someone else's face? Do we use our scissors to cut our hair? Do we use our scissors to cut our friend's hair? Okay, so all those type of things. We talk about safety with scissors. Okay, next. Kids need to know how to hold scissors, but they also need to have the hand muscles. Now, a lot of times people just do this. Okay, but this is not how you cut. This just represents cutting. It doesn't actually practice any skills needed for cutting. So I'm gonna show you how to help kids develop those muscles. Okay, first you're gonna take your whole hand. You're gonna give me a thumbs up. Okay, so there's your thumbs up. You're gonna put out 2 fingers. When I practice, I only practice with 2 fingers because I don't wanna stress 3 until they're in the scissors. For now, I'm just gonna stick to 2. So this is what it looks like. And then when we're cutting, we are actually going with our thumb. Our thumb is using that muscle, and there. Okay, so we're gonna practice, and even if I turn it, we're gonna actually bring them a little bit better because this is not the only thing, right? We kind of squish both together like that. So I'm gonna have my students put their hands up like this, so they're ready, and then they'll point it towards me, but this way you can kind of see. So I'm really focusing on that thumb muscle, which is actually coming from here. Okay, and then bringing there. So have your students practice that. If you need a song for that, it's gonna go open and shut, open and shut, open and shut. That's how I cut, cut, cut. Open and shut, open and shut, open and shut. That's how I cut, cut, cut. So there's a little song for them to practice. It uses that muscle a lot while they're practicing, which a lot of kids need muscle. Okay, if you have a kid that needs muscle, here we go. This is so, so, so awesome. These scissors are the most amazing scissors ever. So they look like this. I love that they have a black top so it's recognizable, and then I can tell my students you use the black is for your thumb, okay? The white is for your fingers, so I can help them figure that out. Now, I don't give all of these scissors to my students because, one, they're expensive and I just can't afford to do that. But I do have like 5 or 6 in my class available for the students that need it. So after I let my students experiment with scissors, I'm able to look at it and say, okay, that person needs help, that person needs help, that person needs help. So the very first time I talk about safety with scissors, obviously, and then I just kind of let my students explore with scissors and cut paper into random pieces, and there's usually a reason for it. But in that, to their mind, it's just cutting, just no lines, nothing like that. It's literally just cutting. And the reason is because I just want to see what they're capable of with their hands and their muscles and whatnot. And after that first observation, I can figure out exactly which students are going to need these scissors. So these scissors help the students that do not have the hand muscles in order to cut, or the kids that try to cut like this, or the kids that are like, and they're really struggling. So let me show you how they work. So there is this button right here. You put that there. So if you watch this, when you go to cut, it pops it back up. So they're not using that muscle to pull it back, because pushing it down is not that bad for them, but pulling it back up, I don't know why. It's just a whole different experience and requirement, and getting it back up is hard. So when you go to use these scissors, these ones are smaller than normal, but they go like this, they go down, it pops back up. So it just automatically does that. Now their fingers are in more, mine's not all the way, now it is, but so that's how they work. Is that not super awesome? So I have certain students that I say, okay, honey, these are your scissors I want you to use. If they're having a hard time going like this, then I have them use the black scissors. Let's see what other things. If they are going, I don't know, years of experience, and I can't remember all the different things I've seen. But you kind of just notice, the more you get into teaching and the more you're around kids, you notice, okay, you need some help with cutting. So these scissors are fantastic for transitional learning, and then they can work their way out of these scissors into other ones. Or you can switch these and have them like that too. Okay, it just depends. But these scissors are fantastic in the classroom. Okay, next one is the smiley face. Oh, it's upside down. Okay, so here we go. We got a smiley face. Can you see that? There we go. Okay, draw smiley faces on your scissors. So that way it's on the top, okay? And here's how this one works, is I would say, okay, ladies and gentlemen, I use ladies and gentlemen in the class. I don't use boys and girls. That's just how I am. But anyways, I pick up scissors, or I tell my students to pick up the scissors and find their smiley face. So they pick it up and it's like this, there's no smiley face. So they're trying to figure out where the smiley face is, and they find the smiley face. And I say, okay, are you looking at your smiley face? Smile at it. When you see your smiley face, give me a big smile and a thumbs up. Okay, so now they have a thumb. Now they're gonna take that thumb, they're gonna put it inside this hole right there, see? Then they're gonna take 2 or 3 fingers and put it in there. Now I'm gonna say, look at that smiley face, okay? When you're going to cut, you're going to be looking at the smiley face. Do not turn it like this, because that's a sideways smiley face, okay? This is a dangerous, it's a sad face. Okay, so your wrist is gonna hurt a lot less if you're pointing forward and looking at that smiley face. Okay, when I go to show my students how to do it, this is getting their hands ready, okay? When I go to show them, I actually turn around and do it backwards. So I'm standing up normally, but I put it up in the air and I say, look at your smiley face. We're going to hold our paper like this. I should have got paper. That's not paper. Okay, so when you turn around, I show them how to hold paper, okay? Here, we put our paper up. We put our smiley face here. Now I tell them to do it right here because they want to see their smiley face, but I'm showing them, so I'm going to put it up high so they can see how to do it. I've got my smiley face and I got my paper. My smiley face is going to cut into the paper, okay? I'm not going to cut like this or like this because that's not a smiley face, so I've got to keep it this way and cut that smiley face, that paper, okay? If I'm going to curve, I say, okay, you're going to turn your paper like that. Alrighty? So that's how I teach kids to cut paper and to follow the line. It just helps them visualize, it helps them see it, it gives them that smiley face cue to know how to do it. And then all year, as you're reminding a few of them, you say, okay, make sure you can see your smiley face before you put your fingers in. So, okay, go do smiley faces. Okay, when kids are learning to cut, it really depends on what kind of teacher you are, what kind of time you have, how old they are. In kindergarten, I really just threw them right into paper. I had them cut paper. In preschool, cut Play-Doh. Play-Doh is fantastic for them to sit there and cut, and then it gets put all back together and it's awesome. You can do the kinetic sand as well, or you can also do things like straws or things with a little bit more texture that are a little bit bigger. And that's just to get them cut. In preschool, I also give them paper, just trash from the mail, and I just say, cut. Just cut whatever you want. Just cut into little tiny pieces. All I want them to do is get used to it, build their muscles, and learning how to hold paper. Because as they get a little bit older, then they'll work on the lines and things like that. So there are my top suggestions and ideas for learning how to use scissors and how to very best teach your kids or your students to use scissors without a lot of frustration. Okay, we want to build their confidence, not break it down because something's super hard. Cutting is super hard, and I always let them know that even if it's, if it's easy, we don't say easy in my class, but if you can do it, great. If you're struggling, that's okay, because it is hard. It is physically hard for some of our hands that haven't built those muscles yet, and that's okay. But these are my tips and tricks to help students be the most successful they can, so they can stay on top of things with their class rather than falling behind because they struggle with some of those skills. All right, have a great day.